Good almost afternoon, everyone. We are so glad to have you with us here today for this time to grow and share. In our usual tradition, we will take this opportunity to bless the food regardless of whatever condition it may currently be in. So with that, let us join in prayer. Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for this time that we can be in each other's company and in yours. For every opportunity to be in fellowship, for every opportunity to grow in love and care. We are thankful for the gift of this beautiful day, the food that we are about to receive in the hands that have prepared it, and in this special time of sharing it with one another. For all these gifts, we give you thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Well, good afternoon, and so nice to see some of you who maybe have not been regulars here. It's always a good time. We have a special guest here today. You might not know, but he's originally from Hong Kong. He's an associate professor of music at Utah Tech University, principal cellist of Southwest Symphony Orchestra, and founding member of the Zion Trio and Cosmopolitan Baroque. Dr. Yu is a former president of Utah ASTA and directs the annual Cello Festival of Southern Utah. He holds degrees from University of Illinois, Indiana University, and the Chinese University in Hong Kong. He grew up in a Christian family and was baptized in St. George, Utah, and attends Good Shepherd Church regularly since 2015. And as I said, he's been a deacon and he sings in the choir and, presents us with beautiful music. He's enjoyed the experience to have served 6 years as deacon in the Washington Parish. And then he wrote this that I didn't get yesterday. I wasn't certain if he would be sending something. I thought he would. So I wrote, he said, I want a simple introduction. So I wrote a couple things. However, if you have an hour and a half of time, take your favorite beverage and your computer or your phone and sit down and read the rest of his bio. Because we are more than privileged to have Ka-Wai and his gifts here at our church. Ka-Wai, thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much. I actually want to start this session with music. So I'm going to play a little bit of music for you. This is actually a prelude from Bach Cello Suite No. 1. How many of you have heard of this piece before? Yay, great. You can describe it many ways. You can describe river flowing, you can describe somebody improvising or somebody going for a walk. Anyway, music just evolving. Like a journey. And in fact, that's the theme that I'm going to look into today, is to share with you about my life story, what I have been through, and what inspired me to be who I am today, and certainly will leave some time at the end for you to ask me questions. I think that will be probably more engaging and interactive that way. So here you go. I'm going to basically share with you a lot of different parts of me to start with. Do you recognize any places that you know? So actually on the left top corner, this is actually, I think it's in St. George somewhere, maybe in the Pioneer Park, during a hike. This looks really unfamiliar. It's a younger me there. And that's more recent. So let's see, just make sure that will work.
Hit the right button.
Not behaving.
It's not. All right, I'll do it.
Can you do it for me? Yeah. Anyway,
This will let me.
no? You got it?
Howard's over here.
Great. It's kind of small, the map. So I grew up in Hong Kong. I was born there. And obviously we're here. There. So my parents, my dad is from Guangdong area. Guangdong area. And my mom also from that area, but that was during like Second World War. Her family was in Sichuan, and then they had to escape the walls and move to Hong Kong eventually. Next. Made in Hong Kong. Yes. How many of you have been to Hong Kong? Fabulous. It's exciting city, metropolitan, and great energy, great excitement, and very convenient. Good food and a lot of cultures. And it's actually true that East, West. I grew up studying in a school that is English as the medium of instruction. But when you go on the street, people speak in Cantonese, and more nowadays, there are more people coming from the mainland China, so you also speak Mandarin as well. And that's the languages that actually we'll talk about that. But yes, these are two of my buddies, good friends when I was in college. But we'll get over there. But this is a cute pictures with my two brothers. So guess who's me? Hello there. And my mom is a singer and pianist, so she was with us. There you go. The languages. So it's interesting because in Hong Kong, we were formerly British colony. So the people there, if you speak English, there is the British accent doesn't kind of. But for some reason, I don't think I carry much British accents at all, and I guess not now. But so English, one of my languages.
Food.
Dim sum.
Food.
To be more precise, yes, it's food. Cantonese food. That's the food that if you go to visit Hong Kong, you definitely don't want to miss. Small dishes of very delicious food. Cantonese. I speak Cantonese. And Mandarin. Interestingly,
French.
Yeah, I did take some French in college, and supposed to be minor in French, but I don't remember that much. But I still love speaking French. Anybody speak French here?
No, I didn't recognize the art.
And one more language there.
Music.
The musical language. Yes, and that's me. My family. Yeah, so that would be the picture with my mom, my dad, and then my two brothers. I'm the middle child. So, what is the characteristic of a middle child?
It's a syndrome.
So I'm not spoiled like my younger brother. I also don't have the power like my elder brother. So what do? But I think that eventually reflected me. I feel like that means I have to collaborate. That means when I fight for toys, I have to collaborate with my younger brother to fight for my elder brother, or the other way around too, which is really bad. But or on the other hand, I would just have to, to do on my own. I can't rely on any status. So my two brothers, when we grew older, in Chicago, I think that was. And then this is my elder brother, Alex. He lives in New York. He's an engineer, but also played clarinet. And I think some of you might have met him in church last year, or in concert. And I think at that time we were in France. My dad has a job in Mexico back then, in short term, so we were there. And this is my younger brother. So cute. I still love this picture. We were in kindergarten. And of course, my father and my mother. So my father was a physics professor back in Hong Kong, and then eventually he more into science policy, which means working some suggestion, advice, giving the government about science and technology and things. And I would say my father was the person that inspired me to be a great individuals with great thinking, critical thinking, and be someone who being a versatile person. But when I was young, it was basically just multitasking. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. I didn't like that. I want to focus one thing. But eventually, when I grew up, I really think that becomes a big part of me, who I'm. Yeah, as you can see, eventually, what I do. And my mom is just the most loving person ever. And when I was younger, I actually had. It doesn't look like now. I have a lot of skin allergy, rashes here and there, and then I have to take medicine, and then it makes me sleepy and stuff. But she took the best care of me and support me, and and even though I was crying at home and not socialized, but she's the musical influence to me as well. She's actually my voice teacher, first voice teacher, and also encourage us to continue music. So that's where we started. Oh, okay. More pictures here. So they visit me in southern Utah, and then this is in Chicago. All right, teenager. Let's go quickly to my teenager year. Didn't change much. I think my face looks about the same. Actually, this is my church fellowship. I attended Hong Kong Baptist Church back then. And these are my high school classmates. I started to become very active in music when I was in high school. Partly because my elder brother, well actually it's the other way around, because my elder brother was very talented musician. Actually, he played violin and then eventually switched to clarinet. And when I was middle school, I feel like I don't want to play music because my elder brother was so good. I wanted to be doing something else. So like I would like cancel lessons and stuff like that. Sorry, don't tell my mom. And then eventually, however, when I was in high school, I stopped playing in the orchestra, both the Western orchestra and the Chinese orchestra with the traditional instruments. And they need cello, so it's like, okay, Ka-Wai, why don't you play? You know. Oh, and by the way, in case this is probably not a secret, but I'm also known as Andy, A-N-D-Y, yeah, in Hong Kong, because in English classes they want you to have a English name. So it's a trend thing. You know, if I just call myself Ka-Wai, it's not very trendy. There are lots of Ka-Wai there, but it's the opposite here. They're not that. Ka-Wai is easy to remember, so I still use it. Sometimes I still use Andy. So I find my passion, you know, in high school, and become very active in music. I was the choir master actually in the school choir, and eventually the principal cello of the school orchestra, and then we, you know, participate in competitions or inter-school competitions or represent the school for different events. I was somewhat active in fellowship and in church, and I'll talk to you more about my faith as we continue. It's a great community to be with other kids together. College, yay! Okay. So I kind of mentioned that when I was younger, I wouldn't say I'm an introvert, but I would say I was a little bit less social, and you know, partly because of my skin condition and also just the mentality. I just feel like, oh, I want to be, you know, I'm scared to talk to other people or hang out with other people. But on the other hand, in college, I was like, I'm gonna break through. I want to change myself. I want to be a sunshine boy, as they call it. I don't know if that's even work in English. In Chinese, there's that. So, I was very active in college. You know, in America would be more like fraternity, but it's not like that. Not the same kind, but it's in a music society or like our organized events, you know, for freshmen or you know, fun outdoor trips and stuff like that. Like this is the street show. So I'm singing some really fun songs, wearing duck cap, whatever it is. And I'm one of the main casts in the musical that they produced at that time. This is my cello teacher, my beloved cello teacher. He's still, he retired now, but he's still in Hong Kong right now, and he was one of the cellists in the Hong Kong Philharmonic Orchestra. Actually, he was the person that had me started in cello, inspired me a lot. Do you want to hear a quick story about that, how I started cello?
Sure, yeah.
I told you that my father has a UNESCO job in France. So we were in Europe for a very short time. At that time, I was 2 years old. And but my mom and dad thought that I might have some problem because I don't talk at all. I didn't even speak. And they worry about me, like, oh, is he retarded or whatever? They didn't say that to me, but I would imagine that's part of the concern. And they figured out, actually, the reason is, but then when they talked to this friend, this is German, which is my first cello. He was at that time a student in Europe, studying in Vienna. And so my mom, actually is my mom's one of her best friends. And he was like, no, Ka-Wai, talk to me. Ka-Wai was actually listening to me, practice the cello, and then I talked to him in Cantonese. And it turned out the reason that maybe I wasn't speaking was because I was confused by different languages. Apparently I was in France, so everybody speaks French. And then we have a domestic helper, Filipino, speaking English. We have a Japanese neighbor. And then, some people, my family speaking Cantonese, and then there are other friends from other places. So I must be confused. But then I saw this so friendly gentleman here practicing the cello, the big instrument. And so I leaned onto the chair and listened to it. And that's my rendezvous with the cello, and eventually it was like, oh, maybe since this looks like destiny that you need to learn cello. Maybe when we came back to Hong Kong, maybe Ka-Wai should study cello with you, and we did. So that's what happened. So my little special story with when I started cello with this teacher. These are two of my best friends in college, and actually in college, I was debating whether I should study music or something else. There are other subjects that I'm interested in, history, world history. It's an interesting thing. Maybe that's part of my personality, because my father was a physics person, and then I try not to do science. And is that recorded?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be on YouTube tomorrow.
But ironically enough, I'm doing a research on AI and string education right now, currently. So I was just gonna say that right there. But I do love studying world history. Actually, I feel like it's great to be able to see what's the story developed and where we are and how the past influenced today and then bring into the future. At the end, I decided to study music, but also, even though I started studying music, I thought maybe I would be a composer. So I took compositions. I love writing music, and today I still, in fact, I arrange music a lot. But it wasn't until I met these two friends. His name is Darren Ho, and then Misha An, and pianist and clarinetist. I just discovered that playing with people, performing chamber music is so beautiful. And as much as I love big orchestra, the chamber music, it's just that kind of intimate. Everybody has one part at a time. No conductor, just share the deepest part of your thoughts with other people. And also it can be just like a few friends having an intelligent conversation together. A string quartet, basically, So that inspired me to continue to be a performer, to focus on performance instead of composing or other area. During the college years, I also did other stuff as well. I sang. I continue to sing. Today, I still enjoy singing, but at that time, I was involved in the Opera Society of Hong Kong. So these are some of the different pictures from the singing in the chorus. And then my senior recital. All right, important parts. My first time to be in America, I think it's 2003. I attended the Aspen Music Festival, which is actually not that far from here.
Right.
Which is like one of the most famous, prestigious festival. I got a scholarship from Hong Kong to attend there for 8 weeks.
Wow.
And that was my first time in America, actually, and then I also, do a lot of activities like hiking and stuff. Love it. And they even give me a bike to to ride during the festival sometimes. So I explore places, and So, well, soon after that, after my graduation from college, I moved fair enough, I moved to here. It wasn't just because of studies, but at that time, actually we have been applying for immigration for a long, long time. But it was approved during my college years. Mostly because of my aunts. This is my Aunt Margaret Liu, and then her son and daughter. So my cousin and their and the spouse. And then so they applied for my mom to come, and then I was at that time a dependent when they applied, young enough. But of course, when I was in college, that was 10 years later. So you can see how long the process is. But anyway, I did landed after my college to come to Georgia, where my aunt currently lives in Atlanta. So you probably know that Coca-Cola
Good there.
factory there. This is my uncle there. Actually, I should introduce, related to here is Uncle Joseph Wong was a pastor at a church, Chinese church in Savannah, Georgia. So actually I have two uncles like that. So besides him, I have one uncle who was a pastor in Toronto, Chinese Baptist Church. And yeah, so I spent actually 1 year studying at University of Georgia for my master. And this is a beautiful music school there. And that's my cello teacher there, David Stockweather. Funny enough, I actually invited him, and he was our guest artist 2 years ago in the cello festival here. Yeah. And that tells one thing I want to mention. It's one thing about me is I tend to keep the relationship whenever I can. I feel like it's very important if someone is, mentor you. You need to always be in touch, and not that I'm like loyal or whatever, but I just, that's just part of me. I feel like it's continue to build that relationship. But while I'm in Georgia, I decided I want to explore and be there to go to a top-notch music schools. Even though Georgia is a great place. So I actually find a teacher that I really work well with is Helga Winnold in Indiana University. So I transfer, so I continue my master's degree there to study with her. And Indiana University Jacob School of Music is one of the top music schools. So it was a tough time. I had to practice. I think I practiced like 7 hours per day, and then I was able to get in, and I worked very hard, and I was proud of myself, and I was inspired, I think, and then I also after that I continued. By the way, this is cornfield, supposedly. I don't really look like the sun or anything. I have to decide, after I finish my master's at Indiana, do I audition for orchestras to be a professional orchestra player? Do I go back to Hong Kong to have a cello studio, or what do I do? And I did try to audition at a few schools, orchestras, including the Cincinnati Symphony, St. Louis Symphony. Those are really hard to get in, and at that time I didn't find successes. We're talking about 200 people fighting for that one spot, and then we're talking about blind audition, which means you're playing behind a curtain. Nobody sees you when you play it, and then you just play a few excerpts, and then you have to be absolutely disciplined. And it can be for some people. But it's very challenging, and if you're lucky, you get to the next round, and then final round and stuff like that. But in the midst of that, I decided to apply for doctorate. I decided to think maybe I should look at all the options that I have. And so I applied for several places, Doctor of Musical Arts degree, which we call DMA. We often say that doesn't mean anything. DMA, as opposed to PhD. PhD is what usually more scholarly, if you talk about musicology or research in music theory. Of course, DMA it means something, but it's usually a joke. But at the end, I studied at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. I don't know how many of you have been to there. Yeah. Yeah, if you know Bill John's, he lived there before Urbana-Champaign. It's a beautiful place, a few hours from Chicago, south of Chicago. And I was very lucky to study with Brandon Vanes, who was the cellist of the Pacifica Quartet, and they won the Grammy twice.
Wow.
In fact, again, I invited him to be a cello festival guest, so he was here last year.
Oh.
Actually, just last fall. Yeah, he was just a few years older than me, but he was. What I would say is that in Indiana, I really get the discipline. I really learned a lot about the technique that I got. But at Illinois, when I was doing my doctorate, because of the teacher, he's a quartet musician, so he's really know how to work with people and listen to people as a great ensemble musician. And he taught me to. I think in Illinois, I become who I am eventually with as far as musicality, as far as developing my interpretation as an artist. But those are both indispensable. I have the basic foundation, and then I go from there, develop my own musicality. And then of course, as a doctoral student, you get more opportunities to be, solos or leadership or participation in different things. So that's my experience in the conviews. Actually, more than that. So after graduating from Illinois, actually even before I finished, I started to teach adjunct or part-time at Eastern Illinois University, and also at Indiana Wesleyan University right there, the hall. And so I started to find, and this is important because by studying the doctoral degree, I started to discover that I love teaching. I told you that I love playing. I continue to enjoy playing. But I find that the two things cannot be separated. If I'm a better teacher, wanting to be a better teacher, I perform better. I could show that in my teaching. I setting an example for my students, but I could also, have the ability to teach. But on the other hand, being a good teacher will allow me to be a better performer as well, because I am able to analyze things. I'm able to teach myself how to be a better performer, and the discipline and the structure that I have. So I feel the two things more integrated together. And so I decided that, going to academia to continue to teach in university, it's one of my passions, and my biggest passions at that time then. But life is not easy. Thinking about, there are not that many music jobs. Because maybe if I'm in another profession, I could just move to a city. Okay, I just move to New York and I'll find a job. It's not like that for music professor. There's maybe 9 or 10 opening of cello professor a year, but there are hundreds of thousands of DMA doctor cello or master cello graduates every year. So life is tough. I actually heard stories, something like, like international students found in a study with the concert master of New York Philharmonic for many years, and hoping to study with the best and then try to audition for orchestras and get a job. But turned out that she didn't get it after years, and actually go bankrupt and then have to go home because it's expensive. If you have never heard of, but auditioning for orchestra jobs, unless you go to the final round, they don't pay for your travel expenses. So you go to, just say if there's Chicago Symphony, I have to audition for there, I just travel on my own. And then if I get to the final round, then they pay for me. So there are people with that. Of course, I also heard a story like people just fresh graduate from the university and get a full-time teaching job or orchestra job. I was neither of them. So I spent 6-7 years as an adjunct professor. In fact, 4 years of that, I was traveling back and forth between Indiana and Illinois. So that Corolla, the blue Corolla, that sometimes Reverend Ralph reminded me to clean it. It was clean, the rain helped. So I want to make sure that. I'm still driving the same car, 2012. That's my first car that I bought it new. And it has about 220K miles now. So I drove 10 hours per week during my years of teaching at both schools. It was a tough time. Freelance musician, and then I play. However, wherever I feel like that's an important part to share is that I shouldn't say crisis, but crisis is the same time as opportunity. Challenges is the time that when you learn, and I learned a lot because I actually have a wedding quartet. I need jobs, so I have friends set up a wedding quartet. Let's post online. We are a quartet, and then I learned how to create a website. I learned how to promote myself and to be an organized musician, rather than musician. If I'm just lucky and get a job right away, I will ever just only know how to play the cello, maybe, which is not bad, which is the best thing, right? But I learned to know about social skills. I learned about, as a part-time musician, go recruit students, do the tough job, go to the high school and play for people and learn from, reach out to the community and keep working on to see where I can go. By the way, this is my graduation in Illinois with my dad. All right, the phone call. You want to hear about that? So 2015. I have been teaching those two jobs part-time for a long time, for a while now, 6-7 years, and I was tempted. Maybe I should just come back to Hong Kong. And sometimes bigger cities, you can charge quite high. You actually is pretty well off. Teach privately. I can have a cello studio, and so I thought of that. But of course, my part of my heart is thinking, I have a little bit more different ambitions than that because I want to be, inspiring more people, the younger generation. So teaching in college is still something that I really want to keep. But then you have to find that balance, reality versus your dream. So I was thinking about that. Anyway, I was in Hong Kong visiting, doing other performances and family visits. Then I got a voice message, and in the airport when I arrived in Hong Kong, I was like, who's going to leave me a voicemail? I'm lucky that my phone even worked, in Hong Kong. So, but anyway, I listened to it and it was like, Hi, I am Glenn Webb from Dixie State University, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, we would like to invite you for an interview for Dixie State University at that time, St. George, Utah. Where is that? So, yeah, so I saw the opportunity, then I was like, okay. Then I replied to email and I said, okay, great, I would like to do an interview. So I have a Skype interview. Skype. I don't know if you guys can know. At that time, Zoom is not as popular, before pandemic. So it was about, I think, 11 p.m. in Hong Kong time. I did the phone interview, the Skype interview. I was at one of my friends, the bishop, the pianist, good friend's home, and then the internet was really bad. So it was like, stopping and going. So I didn't hear really clearly what they asked me, but I kind of got the idea. So I say something, and they ask me something. I said something. So after the interview, I was like, well, maybe maybe it was okay, And to my surprise, this is actually true. I was thinking, oh yeah, probably I didn't do that well. But a few weeks, actually just a week later, they told me, hey, we would love to have you come for a live interview. Oh, okay. And I told them, like, well, I'm in Hong Kong, and what should I do? We can try to, fund you. So I found a really cheap flight ticket to go, fly from Hong Kong to Las Vegas, and then rent a car to go to St. George. And the story, from then on, it's you know what happened, and I got the job. So, but and I think I shared with some of you before, when I was in the airport, got the car and driving I-15, maybe not the first time, because I've been to California before, but never been to Utah. And so when I driving, the hymn that I immediately figured, this is my Father's world, right? This is my Father's world. I mean, that hymn just come to me because it's so beautiful, the nature. Like, wow, never seen things like that. And at that time, just grateful. There's nothing I could say. Eventually, we are Utah Tech Music, by the way. And trailblazing professor. That's me. So at Utah Tech, I start to build. I feel like this is a place that I could accomplish and to teach a community. This is during a performance, faculty performance. Actually, the piece requires to wear a mask and then blue screen and everything. The whale song, so that's why. And then these are some of my students. And my chamber music students, I've brought them to different senior homes or community centers to share music. More of that. And 2016, February, I co-founded the Cello Society of Southern Utah. And it actually started to be just a reading session of Christmas music in December 2015. Because when I was in Indiana, they have a cello choir of a lot of people. It's a big music school, so they have a lot of cello students who play together. So I thought, maybe I could bring that idea to Utah, since they don't have that much here yet. So I did that, and people really liked it in the Christmas reading session. There was about 10 of us in the Southwest Symphony cello section. But eventually, they founded the Cello Society, and there are students, there are community members, there are visitors, and anybody who want to play some cello will play together. And if we don't have music for it, I have the skills. I told you I learned the skills, so I can arrange cello ensemble music. So I did that, or I buy music for it, and so we started to have more things like that. And then I enjoy Southern Utah, and they're right here, Russian candy. I must say, I'll keep saying it to the end of my life. When I first came here, I was, of course, there's lots of LDS churches, and then I was looking for a church that, that I could stay and call home. I told you I attended a Baptist church when I was in Hong Kong, so I attended the Westside Baptist Church a little bit, and I liked it. The pastor was very friendly, and I also, I didn't mention that when I was in high school, my school is actually an Anglican school, St. Paul's College, which is the equivalent to Episcopal Church here. So I did attend the Grace Episcopal 1 time or 2 times, but the actual connection that I felt most was at Good Shepherd. And you know who was sitting next to me the first service? It was Russell Herbert. He was sitting next to me, and I was like, this is the most kindest person, and welcoming person. And then eventually, I saw them, a lot of you in concerts, in different concerts somehow, events, and feel that connection. And I love the service. I love organ. And at that time, there were Fred Hampton and other people, and then I also make friends with Susan and Steve Talley. Of course, I should mention Reverend Ralph. That I enjoy being mentored and friendship with. So that's the important part of me. I saw the professional side of me, but I enjoy. I started to think about nature. I started to think about when I moved to Utah. I'm not a very athletic person, but I realized health is very important, and hiking has become my favorite hobby. But I'm not saying like very strenuous hiking. I'm usually doing very small things, but and I take a lot of pictures and stuff like that. But I do enjoy doing it. At that time, well, with a little bit update my family, my elder brothers have a twin. So this is pretty recent picture. And then my younger brother, who lives in Atlanta, Georgia, with my mom. Not exactly the same house, but they're pretty close to each other. That's my younger brother Elvin's daughter, Sophia. And so it's a little bit family in Atlanta here. So my GSPC family, this is just not including, it didn't include a lot of people. It's just from old photos, some of the old photos. But this is an important picture because that was right after my baptism, I think. And so let's talk a little bit quickly, if I have time, right? 1 minute? Okay. Faith. So I grew up in a Christian family, as the bio says. But it's because I grew up in a Christian family. I don't want to be a Christian just because my parents are, and I feel lost when I was younger. I was very familiar with Bible. I memorized a lot of them, verses, and in school I was in a church school, so I know a lot of things. So there was a long period of time I was trying to debate with, with pastors, or debate with people from church. Why? There are a lot of things in, for example, Old Testament. There are things, history. There are some things that doesn't make sense. And I try to struggle. I try to say, no, I'm going to be, the world is beautiful. Why do I need to wait till I go to heaven, Maybe I should, because just enjoy it today, The music is beautiful. But then it struck me, as I go to the United States, move to here, encounter new things. And suddenly I experienced, some stories, like my old mentor, he was very young, from Hong Kong, suddenly passed away. Or somebody very close, even younger than I, also passed away. And it's like, wait, what? That doesn't make sense. Life is so fragile. Also, at that time, I also have some health issues. And you can see that I was actually, at one point in Illinois, I was a little bit more, have more skin. But I suddenly realized that, we can't control everything. I just realized that life, we try to do a lot of things. Well, what? If you don't have good health, for example, you don't get to enjoy. Even if you're rich, you get a good job, or, and I think of all those things, I suddenly realized that, well, all the moments that I try to be arguing against this Bible verse or that Bible verse, but you know what? Experience God in the context. Once you experience that personal experience, that doesn't matter. Those arguments may not matter anymore, or it completely transformed in another sense. And then it's also helpful at that time. My younger brother Alvin also was a deacon in a Chinese church in Indiana. He also came to Indiana. It's funny. My younger brother always follow up my footsteps. So my elder brother studied in Michigan, so he got his master's there, and then I studied in Indiana. He also got another master in Indiana afterwards. But he visited me and prayed for me, and it's like, oh, Ka-Wai, you can give everything to God, and He will take good care of you, and you can just let go. You don't have to control. You don't have to worry. You don't have to hold on. And that's the thing. That's the thing. When you have more that you get, like, oh, I got, a PhD degree. I have plenty of things to do. But you know what? If you don't have good health, don't hold on to it. Just. So at that time, I did the prayer, and then I made it and believe in Christ. But at that time I didn't get to baptize, so finally that process was completed in St. George. So happy ending. So that's just a little bit a journey of my faith, pickleball. Something really fun. And Gloria and Adam, I think this is okay. And of course I'll do a thing here. All right, it's almost the end. Actually, this is in 2020 I become a citizen of the United States. After years of being a green card holder or a permanent resident, I feel like, I enjoy living here, but I also want to participate. I also want to vote. I also want to, serve in many ways. So, and I always joke that after that to my friends, if I am president, I'm going to make World Cello Day. Obviously, as an immigrant, you cannot be the president of the United States. I could run for office though. So if you want to vote for me. But I love this country, so I feel like I feel home at here, and I feel like, why don't we just, be in that? So continue to communicate and build a community. And this is, I got several awards. This is called the Community Engaged Scholar Award from the university. And I started to do a lot of things. This is Cello Festival. Actually, we were all masked because it was during 2021-22 COVID time. I think it's important that we stay together, in good times and in tough times. And you may not be able to recognize me there. We're in different cowboy hats and such, but stories to be continued, because this is just part of the chapter that I continue to grow and continue to see. My ideas are, we have cello teachers around. I mean, I could compete with them and say, oh yeah, we should have our own. We should build our own fans. But instead I feel like, why don't we share ideas? Why don't we join together? Instead of worrying that you're going to steal my student and I'm going to take your students. Actually, we share ideas and we'll both grow together. And so that's my idea for the cello festival, bringing 120 or some cellists each year to join together on campus. But that's only just part of me. Cello, the same thing applies to other things that I'm running. I'm working on a program, for example, with high school students and teach them chamber music. And then I also direct a music camp in June and try to reach out to people. In fact, I feel like it becomes, I find my strength through doing things, through the opportunities. And in fact, that's going back to my faith. It's when you try to open doors, you try to let go, you find that you actually can do a lot of things. And I enjoy that. I enjoy connecting people together. Sometimes I don't even need rewards, it's just happy. It just makes me happy to see people coming together. And I think if that is a healthy community. And so anyway, so that's continuing to wanting to do that, and we'll see what's next.
Yeah.
And people keep asking me, oh yeah, are you going to move somewhere or no? I love here at the moment. I love here, and you can never tell what's up in the future, but I think he knows. And so yeah, so that's a little bit about it. Any questions?
When you had your opportunity to come to Utah for that interview, the live one,
Yes.
and you said you bought a cheap ticket, how did you get your cello here?
Yeah. So that's a really good question.
How do they allow you to protect it, to take it on a plane?
Yeah. So there are, I should say, 4 options to bring a cello. 101. You could drive. So that means that option is not good. I can't drive from Hong Kong to here. Second option is to borrow a cello, right?
Okay.
So I could borrow a cello, and I do that more often now. The best option, but it's the most expensive option, is to buy a flight ticket for the cello.
Yes.
So I can actually bring it on the plane.
I wondered if you needed 2 cheap tickets.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a challenge. And then the last option is to check the cello in, check in. But I have a very good flight cover. So I have a hard case. On top of that, there's another case.
Okay.
And the little cushion, and then I still put a lot of stuff inside to make sure the cello is safe, and to check it in. And so far, I have not had a problem with that, except for 2 times. I arrived a few days earlier than the cello. And the cello arrived later than me, so that was so scary. So I bought insurance for it just in case. So if I have a choice, I would never want to do that. But in that time, I did want to use my own cello. I want the best, so I did bring it over here. And yeah. Other questions? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, if you borrow a cello, how difficult it is to get used to a new cello?
It varies from cases to cases, but you know, if it's a good cello, then you know, it will teach you a lot of things. So, but even good cellos, some cellos it's just like think about driving a new car. If I give you a Ferrari to drive, it will still drive really well, but maybe you will still need to get used to it if you are not used to it. So if I have to do that, I try to not have a recital the day of using that cello, even though I did that 2 weeks ago in Texas. It was fine. It's not the best, but it worked. But I would say it's better as you get used to it. When I was younger, it takes longer to do it, but now there's just a connection that I can feel with a cello, and then a new cello, I can sense it quicker. So again, similar to driving, if you drive quite often, you go to rent a new car, it's not too bad. Transition.
Aside from your teachers, who would you say you look up to as your favorite cellist? Or do you have one?
I have a lot. Yo-Yo Ma was is one of my inspired cellists in terms of a cellist being open, being human, a good human being, because not only he plays well, but he would communicate with the audience and also cross over. Actually, a lot of things I do, it's very similar to him in a way that I learn from him, I guess. To reach out to different people or try out different genres. And the interesting thing is, you can go, just so that you know, you could. If I'm a classical musician, I always try to please the audience. I could make it cheap or cheesy, but he's not. You know what I'm saying? I could just try to. There's a difference between you just appeal to somebody, but also play their music, but also educate them at the same time, or inspire them, or combine them. So he found the right balance for that. I do have other cellists that I enjoy. Anna Buesmer, for example, Dutch cellist, play Baroque cello beautifully. Stephen Isles has such the most beautiful vibrato, and so there are many cellists that I'm interested to learn from. And there's a lot of younger cellists that are really good players. I think another thing about being an artist, you cannot be arrogant if you want to be a good artist. I must say that. Because you just see so much you can learn from one artist to the other. And then you can collaborate with them, and open-minded and to share ideas. And so I think that's very important. So their younger generation, there's lots of good cellists, probably have their hands up much ready than me. But on the other hand, I also think I'm confident that I also have things I could share with the rest of the world as well. So.
How do you tell a student that they're just not going to make it?
Well, it depends on make it to what.
Well,
here's the thing, and that's one thing that I enjoy here. At Utah Tech, we are an open enrollment institution, which means that we accept anybody. However, I don't give music scholarship to everybody, right? So I have a wide range of students, and some of them, when they come in, I know they're not going to be a full-time musician after graduation. In fact, there are a lot of different career options with musicians with a degree in music. So I'll give you some examples. You can be a teacher, you can be a performer, but you can also run as an art administrator. You can't, full-time professional orchestra need manager, or librarian who know music. And then you can sell instruments, you can run your business, you can have music technology, engineer or sound engineer, and healthcare. Actually, very interesting. Music therapy has become more popular than before. And so, I, as an educator, as a professor, I need to know all these options when I talk to students. And so that they don't just, oh, this is the only way I can do it. I could give them the advice for where they are. Help them where they are. That's the main thing. As a teacher, I feel like, and that's the thing. That's the thing that keeps me wanting to be enjoying we're here, because, oh yeah, I thought, well, if one day I would dream on, like, maybe probably it's never a long shot. Okay, one day I'm teaching Julia, I'm teaching somewhere. But those students are already good. They're already good players. It's different kind of teaching. You just have to inspire them. In fact, a lot of those teachers in the big schools, maybe they don't have the same ideas, that they may not necessarily be that, have the same pedagogical ideas that I have, but they know how to encourage those students already ready. But here, I get a chance to help some first generation students who have no family been to a college before, or some people who are really good, but they just don't have the income to go to some expensive university, so they come here. And so I find my duty more important, or more beautiful in a way, that I could dramatically change that person or transform that person. So, yeah, to answer your question again is, yeah, I mean, you can probably, sometimes you know it the first time you heard them in audition. But I think as a teacher, and that's why we need your help, actually. There's some, well, I want to make sure this is not politics, but there's is political but not politics, but there's cut funding on arts, and that's why it's challenging, because and I want these people to succeed, and I think it's easy to see in other profession, like, okay, you spend so much money and then you get so much result. But in music, I can't prove to people. I teach 20 cello students. What kind of job did they get? How can I prove that their values in terms of dollar amount that they did, or how much money you spend on buying a Steinway piano? How can you explain? We can't explain it, but I could tell you that without that, everything will be changed. Crime rate will go up, or other things. A lot of people will have, issues with health and other things. Music, because it's a lot of things we do is from the soul, or the spirits, or inspiring people to help people with that. So it's, and so anyway, my focus is more in the process. My focus is not just the end product. Okay, this kid coming in, all right, he or she has no future, so let's eliminate or go. Sometimes you have to, if you are giving a scholarship, you can only give it to that person. But in general, my focus is to help that students where they are. Thank you, everybody.